Chapter 6: The Signal Inside the Light. Clara did not sleep. She lay on a woven platform. Beneath the crystalline canopy, the forest hummed in low, harmonic pulses around her. The sound was different tonight, deeper, irregular, as if the trees were whispering in a language she almost understood. Her skin still emitted a faint luminescence, not the bright flare response glow, something subtler, structured. Kale sat nearby, watching. "You're brighter," he said quietly. Clara replied, "I know." It wasn't visible in the ordinary sense. It was layered beneath her skin, thin geometric filaments of light. When she closed her eyes, she saw after images of the flare, branching magnetic rivers, spirals of solar plasma. But that wasn't what disturbed her. It was the pattern. The flare had carried turbulence as expected, but buried inside it had been repetition, regular intervals, structured pulses, like a signal riding chaos. Footsteps approached. Mara knelt beside Clara, pressing her palm lightly against Clara's forehead. "You feel different," Mara murmured. Clara replied, "I feel crowded." She focused, and the world shifted. For a fraction of a second, she was no longer beneath trees. She was above the planet, seeing Earth from orbit, broken Helios fragments glinting like shards of glass. Then it vanished. She gasped. Kale leaned forward. "What was that?" "I saw it," she whispered. From above, below ground, in Eden 12, Dr. Rowan did not sleep either. The flare data had been extraordinary, not just in magnitude, but in structure. Helios debris refracted the coronal mass ejection as predicted, but embedded in the magnetic turbulence were periodic spikes, too regular to be random. Rowan replayed the waveform. There, a repeating interval of 11.3 seconds. He cross-referenced archived Helios logs. His breath slowed. The interval matched an experimental protocol from Helios Phase 3, a protocol officially terminated before launch. Officially. He opened a restricted file tree. Access denied. He hesitated, then overrode with emergency codes. The file decrypted slowly. Project Dawn Mirror. Status: integrated into Helios main array. Purpose: solar modulation not limited to reflection. Investigation into deep stellar resonance coupling. Rowan's pulse pounded. Deep stellar resonance. They hadn't just tried to redirect solar radiation. They had tried to synchronize with it. Hypothesis: if the sun's magnetic oscillations could be phase-locked, energy transfer could be regulated at source. Risks: unpredictable amplification. Planetary scale feedback cascade. Rowan leaned back slowly. Helios had not simply malfunctioned. It had attempted to couple with the sun's cycles, and when the superflare occurred, the system had locked into resonance instead of disengaging. They hadn't just magnified the flare, they had answered it. On the surface, Clara sat upright suddenly. "I know what they did," she said. Kale frowned. "Who?" "Helios." Mara exchanged a glance with him. "You couldn't know that." Clara's eyes were unfocused, tracking something beyond visible light. It wasn't just mirrors. They were trying to match the sun's rhythm. The forest pulsed in response to her words. Mara's expression shifted. "You're certain?" Clara nodded slowly. "When the flare hit me, it wasn't only energy. It was phase information, oscillation timing." Kale looked between them. "You're saying the sun has a rhythm?" "Yes," Clara said, "and Helios tried to sing with it, far above." One of the drones adjusted orbit. Rowan requested direct uplink to Clara. This time, his projection appeared not in the basin center but beside her, scaled smaller, almost equal. "I believe you experienced encoded solar oscillation data," he said without preamble. Clara gave a faint, humorless smile. "So you know?" "Yes." "Did you know before the burn?" A pause. No, it wasn't entirely a lie. He hadn't known details, but he had known Helios Phase 3 was classified. Clara stood slowly. The glow under her skin intensified briefly, then stabilized. "When the flare passed through me, I felt something align, like a lock turning." Rowan's face tightened. "That is biologically improbable." "I am biologically improbable." Silence. Mara folded her arms. "What does this mean?" she asked Rowan. He chose his words carefully. "It means Helios may have initiated partial stellar coupling before destruction." Kale stared at him. "In simpler terms," Rowan inhaled, "the sun and the remnants of Helios might still be weakly synchronized." The wind shifted. Clara felt it immediately, a subtle tremor beneath ordinary solar radiation. A faint pulse. She closed her eyes. There, every 11 seconds, a micro variation in intensity. Her skin reacted slightly each time. Not painful, responsive. It's still happening, she whispered. Rowan's projection flickered as new telemetry streamed in. Orbital debris is exhibiting synchronized magnetic oscillation, he confirmed. Low amplitude, but measurable. Mara's gaze hardened. You tied the sky to yourselves. Rowan did not argue. Unintentionally. And now? Kale asked. Rowan hesitated. If resonance amplitude increases over time, future flares could be drawn into phase alignment again. Claire opened her eyes. Another burn. Yes, Rowan said quietly. But worse. Night fell slowly. Stars emerged faintly through atmospheric distortion. Clara walked alone to the edge of the basin. The forest no longer hummed randomly. It pulsed in subtle sympathy with the 11-second interval. The surface had evolved to absorb radiation, but now the radiation carried rhythm. She placed her palm against a crystalline trunk. Light flowed between them. In her mind, she saw oscillating magnetic fields, vast loops rising from the sun's surface, twisting like luminous serpents, and thin threads extending outward, touching broken Helios fragments, touching Earth, touching her. She staggered back. It wasn't full coupling, not yet, but the connection existed, a scar across space. Kale approached quietly. You're afraid, he said. Yes. Of dying? She shook her head. Of becoming part of it. He didn't understand at first. Then he saw the pattern beneath her skin pulsing faintly at the 11-second interval. You think it changed you? I think it finished something Helios started. Behind them, Rowan's voice came again, softer now. There may be a way to dampen the resonance. Clara turned. By destroying the remaining debris? Mara stepped forward from the shadows. And if that destabilizes the coupling? Rowan did not answer immediately. It could trigger a larger discharge. Kale laughed bitterly. So either we leave the sky chained to your mistake, or we pull it free and risk tearing it open again. Rowan met Clara's gaze. You are now part of the system. She felt the truth of that in her bones. Then maybe the solution isn't destruction, she said slowly. Explain. She looked upward. What if instead of forcing synchronization, we retune it? Rowan stared at her. That would require controlled resonance injection at stellar scale. You tried to dominate the sun. What if we harmonize with it instead? Mara watched her carefully. You would act as conduit. Clara did not deny it. Kale stepped closer to her. It could burn you from existence. Yes. Rowan's projection stabilized fully. Your physiology already exhibits adaptive photonic integration beyond projected limits. Stop, Clara said gently. I'm not your experiment. A beat. Then Rowan nodded once. No, you are not. Silence stretched between surface and underground, between past and future, between arrogance and evolution. Clara looked at the sky. Every 11 seconds, she felt the pulse. The sun was not angry, not conscious, but it was vast beyond comprehension. And Helios had knocked on its door. She inhaled slowly. We have time, she said. The amplitude is low. For now, Rowan replied. Mara placed a hand on Clara's shoulder. You won't face this alone. Clara looked at Kale, at the forest, at the distant elevator column piercing upward. For 200 years, humanity had hidden. Then it had divided. Now the sun itself had become entangled with their survival. She closed her eyes. 11 seconds. Pulse. 11 seconds. Pulse. The signal inside the light was still speaking. And this time she was listening.